This shit is crazy. Yo, shit. Yo.
Fuck on the ground.
Oh, shit.
Huh.
What the fuck is
It's all bad.
out of the road, all the way out of the road, or I'll put you under arrest. Everyone out of the road. Out of the road.
So they hitting every city. All right, what you see here is New York. They hitting them street vendors. All right, some of them people will come out, set the sheets up on the side of the road, put all their products down, start selling Louis Vuittons or whatever. And life ain't fair. Well, I guess I'll say that. So you may have been doing this for 10 years unbothered. Well, that's unfortunate.
Well, one bad apple ruins it for the rest of us. That's why we say on Carbon for the Horse and Single by Choices, hear me and hear me well. To some degree, Bonquisha, Nug Nug, and her offspring all have a reflection on us all. To some degree, and how do we know?
And most of these people here, not to cut you off, but these are, most of these people be from Africa or Jamaica or somewhere. A lot of times, this is New York. As you can see, my man here, he probably from Nigeria, and they can get the knockoff items. So,
but that's how they make their living out there on the streets with no light. It's maybe not legal, but it's a cultural thing, and they let it happen because it brings more business to that area. But now, since suckers out here jugging and doing more heinous crimes, even back in the day, organized crime, do you not understand that's why there were rules? That's why there was a G code, because they wanted to do their little underworld stuff and it be all right. But now what they say, don't hurt women and children. Is it safe to say those things are off the table now? Or women and children not getting deleted at a disturbing rate?
the ground?
Oh, shit.
What the fuck is out of the road, all the way out of the road, or I'll put you under arrest. Everyone out of the road. Out of the road.
Yo, winter elections in Chicago, I'm concerned, and I need them to have some elections so they can vote Brandon the F out of the seat.
The fact of the matter is, no one has asked me to send federal troops into this city to make it safe. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
Listen, you in Chicago, mailbox, I get it. Like you said, they are robbing the mail workers for them keys. That's a real thing. So women, men, they don't care who you is. They want that bag. They want them keys. They think, oh, I can go get this. We're going to get the checks. We're going to cash the checks. They watching too many TikTok videos.
I didn't know you're from Chicago, mailbox. Have you been assaulted like that, mailbox?
Well, I'm born and raised in Chicago. I live in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
And like seriously, there are jobs in my undergraduate field at home. The cost of living is not something I want to undertake. And the level of crime there, I wouldn't even do my job at home. I'm being serious. Like stuff like that. I know everything about my city and I understand the beautiful parts of it. And my job is based on seniority. And if you don't have the seniority to get a cushy route, if they want to say you are relegated to the hood, I don't want to be subjected to the point where I can't read a book for lunch, check on Acorn option or something like that. If I got to do anything like gonna keep my head on a swivel all day, it probably wouldn't be the job for me because wasn't what I planned to do in the first place. But at home, I got a cousin that's in Congress, and the National Guard and everything else around are things that he has a particular affinity before because he does have children there. He still stays around those areas, and you got cops still being deleted by people in those areas. You got a mailman that was shot by an Amazon driver at home last week. So,
what?
Yes.
Scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
I spoke to one woman who actually lives in this building, and she says she was detained by ICE agents overnight, and she says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Patricia Fisher says she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizen-App video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents. Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too.
And here we go. Here's the problem. Shout out to Chicago. A lot of this stuff was done intentionally. So, you know, when the mayor was bringing those migrants in, where were they putting them at? In the low income areas, in the hoods, in the projects. So when the ICE agents come, where are they going? To the hood, to the projects to collect them. All right. It's unfortunate. It was a setup.
There it is, Mr. X. And welcome in, Brother 10. It was a setup. I believe that the last party that was there, you know, the last presidency, this was the setup. Oh, come on in. All the immigrants welcome. They did it for votes, and everybody welcome to the hood. They all around us. And now the jig is up. I think it's a lot of setups. Ain't exactly cool. And I want to touch on this. That's unfortunate. They ain't gonna want me to look like one of my aunties. Talking about she just got cuffed for no reason. Document things. You know, shout out to my father-in-law, man. Document things. Injustices.
I was gonna say they went in and arrested everybody, and then all right, your ID check, then they let the people go. Like I said, it's unfortunate, it really is. But this is what happened. No thing when we are so damn welcoming. We talked about this a few weeks ago with the Chinese people doing the nails and stuff. Quit welcoming everybody into the hood with open arms. We've been doing that since Africa. You know, they come in, we just showing people stuff. They're like, what's that? Oh, that's just gold. That's just silver. No, quit telling them what we got. All right, now y'all done let the migrants in. Oh, that's just Javier and them. No, y'all ain't welcome. Get the hell out of here. Here we are.
Got a bleeding heart. Shout out to melanated folks. We are, you know what I mean? We are empaths. We're sympathetic and empathetic to a fault. That's what that gonna show.
Because if it was reverse, a bunch of ninjas going into their community, they will not welcome you. So we must understand. Shout out to the brother Powernomics. My man wrote the Powernomics books.
Hyde Anderson, I think.
All right. Part of that stuff he talked about with the Powernomics is it's a race. Whether you like it or not, everybody's competing for resources and power. So they will not welcome you into their community because they are competing with you. But you will welcome them in and let them see, you know, the game plan, the cheat codes, everything.
There you go. What you got on this, Brother 10? Welcome in.
In my perspective, I feel like this time period is needed for everybody to make the acclamations that's needed as far as law enforcement and the people who are doing the crimes, as well as the people who are crimes being done too, because then we're going to be able to govern ourselves differently and more accordingly for the future.
Now, who is we? Who is we will be able to govern? Is that everybody, or are we speaking about law-abiding citizens? Because I think that's I'm a little bit confused, Brother 10, as far as why people would not want, you know, these law enforcement agencies in their town. What's the bad thing? Like, I understand, you know, if you are sacrificing a little bit of comfort, you know what I'm saying, for some safety, is that a fair trade-off?
You gotta sacrifice a little bit of comfort for the safety, realistically.
Realistically, thank you. Realistically, or you can say, nah, I don't want to do that. That ain't fair. It's still gonna happen. Adjust.
I agree. I'm gonna let this go. This is wild.
The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. That's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Watson says budget trucks and military-style vans were used to separate parents from their children. Other neighbors say they saw agents destroying property to get in the building.
And they had a big 15-inch chainsaw with a round blade on it, cutting this fence down. We're under siege. We're being invaded.
Yeah, Jesus. So yeah, it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? When they start dumping them people off by the thousands, and they were setting them tents up. I mean, I guess ain't nothing people really could do. What could they do? I mean, I guess you can go to what? City Hall? What you got? Get you an EV. When this stuff is going on, you got to be at these City Hall meetings and fighting for your rights if you're a taxpayer.
That is certainly true. Let me pivot for 1 second, because where are my manners? The Glaze Galaxy Yam Committee is now in session. Hear you. All right, I did want to do that. I forgot about doing that. But no, seriously, you know, you're right. The real power is at City Hall. The real power is, you know, what goes on in your city. You know, who gets what kind of, you know, contracts. The thing that I have seen is that, like Brother Milbrock was talking about, to go further, they will set up their shop in your neighborhood and make you the consumer, and you won't be welcome in their store. Now, you talking about you won't even be welcome in their community. You are in the hood, they own the store, and they'll follow you around, call the very same police to get you out of their store because you're not paying. But they'll mark it up 200 to 300 times. And you're on a revolving cycle. You know what I'm saying? You're on a revolving cycle. You don't have any money, and plus these people come in and they know how to not live flashy, and they will set up their shop and they will get special privileges to set up in your community. That's why you got to get people who are in local office to make sure that, hey, you know, we're trying to do citizens first, Americans first. You know, in the Black community, you know, that's the one thing that I think that integration did to our Black communities. It killed small businesses. People can say what they want to say, but I heard a guy say one time that it was like, you know, they built up their community. Everything in their area was Black owned. And the only thing they could go out and buy or had to buy was from the white folks was a car. You know, a car at some point. And so these now people who are in your city hall, they're in bed with the people that are trying to keep you oppressed, and they don't want you to get free because it's a business. All of it's a business. All of it is a business.
I agree with Evie. It is a business. You see what they're targeting. You know, you see who they're targeting, and but people forget. Chicago was a mob town. You know, the Italians, the mob ruled Chicago, just like New York, just like New Orleans, just like LA. You know, all these families rule these countries, and they still do. It's just more underground. They're not targeting organized crime. They're not targeting the Russian mafia. They're not targeting these people that you know got these big bucks that are got offices, you know, on you know in Wall Street and these lucrative high rises. They're not targeting those folks. You know, people forget this is a police state. Just because they're not up your hind part, that doesn't mean that this is not a police state. You know, good white folks get mad when they encounter the police. They get real mad because they're like, look, I pay my taxes, you know. And the thing is that this is a police state. Just because they're not in your backyard doesn't mean that it isn't a police state. You know, people forget that during the civil rights era, these folks was throwing bricks and hosing these folks down. Those were crimes. They were locking these people up for asking for their freedom. These were crimes.
Bottom line, guys, especially when you talk about what's going on in Chicago, that is a big, big piece of a big picture. One, no, we can't just say the Democrats in their last time they were in office, they didn't do that or do this. we can go over America the whole 200 and something years, and there's a whole lot nobody has done. With that said, though, the immigrants are in Chicago and places like that because of the Republicans. Remember, the Republicans shipped those people there to get them out of their areas. Now, with that said, though, to me, a lot of people aren't looking at the way Trump is acting. Like when Pastor Leon said that they never arrest the Chicago criminals and never arrest these big time people. That's because they are the people running our government. Right now, you want to talk about a crook. There's nobody can be more crookeder than Trump. But you know, who's going to arrest him? And so with that said, all we can do is continue to go on and hopefully survive this thing.
I agree with Mr. Wilson, but Trump was arrested. But the thing is, I have never seen this in my entire life, that a man would get indicted and then run for office and nothing happens to him. That he, in order to not go to prison, he had to run for office and win. And he did it. That's gangster.
Gangster.
As hell. I've been stressing that.
The rappers have been singing about Trump for years. Now you see what they were singing about. This is the biggest crook out here. And he's getting paid every day. Hold on. No. He getting paid every day.
Every day.
Guys, I want to ask you a question. If I were to steal $6 trillion from you, how would you feel?
Sure. Enraged. What you got?
Well, I'm talking about that's when the stock market went down because of all that stupid stuff they were doing. $6 trillion lost in one day. Now, not so much with you all, but if you had stocks, because see, like my cousin had stock and he lost a lot of money. Well, I had two of them, they lost a lot of money. And so that's just across the country. Imagine somebody do something and it costs you all of this money and nobody's upset. $6 trillion. Hell, we kill each other over a nickel. Anyway, like you say, no rabbit hole.
Let EV respond to your question. What you got, EV?
Yeah, and so now, how many senators and congressmen? They've been bending us over for years. So 6 trillion is a drop in the bucket from years and years. And you see, Louis Leon got the Vaseline there for years and years and years. So because T. Bonnie done it, and you got a number to him, and he's one person. But then you got a whole bunch of folk, and check this out. It ain't just been folk that look like this. It's folk that look like this in our community who serve in office and who they get. Look at Martin. I mean, look at Sharpton. Sharpton. Look at Roly Poly Martin. They all Jamal Brown. They're all getting this grip. So I'm not saying he's right or whatever, but I'm saying he ain't the only one, and it's been going on for a long time, and no one said nothing. And you know what we've done? We've celebritized them because we keep hitting that racism button. It's racist if we don't support our own. And look at our community. I was just in Memphis, and I was scared. I was scared as hell.
Gangster. That's a big thing, and that's what I've been stressing. Again, shout out to my father-in-law. The United States was raised and erected off a whole bunch of gangster activity. Like that's why we here. A whole lot of gangster-ish going on to guide us here. It ain't gonna stop. Like that's why I say shout out to my father-in-law. You got to know the rules to the game you are playing. It's unfortunate. A lot of us are playing this game, and a lot of us weren't given the rules. They were hit and torn up, put into the game at disadvantages. Complaining, whining, crying ain't gonna do nothing for nobody. Got to learn the rules to the game and move accordingly.
Oh, what I wanted to say, there's certain things that we're holding on to today. They're old talking points. Just like when somebody says there are 2 million people in prison in America. Is that a lot of people?
Sounds
No,
like
not compared to 350 million people. If I were to ask you right now, how many people should be in prison out of 100 people, all of you would say 10. The number usually winds up 10%. Now, here's the deal. If 10% of people should be in prison, then 35 million people should be in prison today. That's just on the low number to keep a society safe. That's what I want to say on that talking point. Go ahead.
My question is about solutions. So there's no fathers in the home. No one has a high school diploma. They haven't got GEDs. We say that their reading and comprehension skills are low. So what are the solutions?
You're in South Africa, right?
I'm in the UK.
Okay, you're in the UK. Okay, here's the solution. That's
burn
it.
it. He said burn it. He said we got to burn it all down, brother. Looking for Glazed Galaxy. I think, welcome in, brother. I think the solution is, and we talk about it during other shows, not so much, it's gonna burn. That's the thing. The burning is inevitable. We ain't have to do it. It's going to happen. This has to run its course. All of these it sucks. There's going to be casualties. All these young men that have been reduced to 2 letters, YNs, they gonna be institutionalized. They will be sacrificed to the system. And it's unfortunate their parental figures, mama and daddies, won't take no accountability in it. They just lost souls.
That part.
Mr. Walker, that's the problem. So how can we expect people to change? People will drug, people will steal, people will do whatever they want. If we all have Leon's attitude, let it all burn, we can't expect people to do better.
I believe there's a saying says we got to get to the edge of destruction before we change. Folks are too comfortable, at least too comfortable being uncomfortable, but comfort is there. They're not going to change until you get to a point where they're about to bleed out. That just seems to be the pattern.
Or have mass cognitive retraining, and that has to start from inception, meaning 0 to 5 is when 90% of your brain is formalized. And that 10%, though it spans a long time, you are a computer/sponge from 0 to 5. My granddaughter is 1 right now. And I tell my wife and kids the things that she is exposed to has to be very concentrated because she is able to regurgitate things. I teach her Spanish and English. She cannot even speak in terms of actual full words, but she can distinguish between the two. She can attempt to syllabalize in both languages. And so the linguistics, the way in which they think about things and the way in which they emulate everything they see, those types of things have to start from jump and to start each one reach one. I got to start with my own family and my own internal village and hope that village can go ahead and matriculate down the block until we have a community that everybody wants to be a part of. Because at the base of it, I know neighbors that I don't want to be involved with, but I do know neighbors around that I would love to have a communal with. We can prune those others, but only if we know the difference between the two. So chaos, which is having already, we got to burn it to the ground, and I'll leave it there.
There you go. There's your solution. Look for Glazed Galaxies. It starts at home.